The Chronicles continue. This week, we're catching up on all the latest Star Wars news and celebrating the lives of two legendary Star Wars creatives in a very special In Memoriam segment.
Welcome to another week of Cantina Chronicles. For those of you that don't know us at this point, this is your first time listening to us. We are a weekly Cantina crawl across the Star Wars galaxy where we have delightful discourse about all things Star Wars, including news, notes, and theory, synthesizing all media. We contextualize your canon. We're your landing pad for all things Star Wars. Grab a seat at the bar with us and let's chop it up. I'm here with Grant and Adam. I am Ben. Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Good. Doing great. We got a lot to talk about. First question. Are we actually ever going to play Star Wars Eclipse?
My guess,
Peter,
no.
right out of the pocket.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, never, right? Never going to happen.
No, I've said a couple weeks ago, I heard a thing where it was like, it's dead in the water. And then just today, like minutes before we hopped on, I saw a post where they're like, oh no, everything's on schedule. Nothing to see here. How are you? Post. Yeah. And yeah, no. But the good news is there are lots of
I'm hopeful
games.
we'll get it. But.
Yeah, I'm hopeful we get it. But, hey, we're getting more games. We're getting games all the time now at a pace that satisfies.
I do love the idea of sort of like dialogue heavy. Story-driven Star Wars experience. I think that's really fun. Instead of doing so much combat, and it's more detective work, puzzle solving, and dialogue, and maybe operates like the recent Indiana Jones game or something like that. That would be really fun. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I love the idea. I'm really hopeful. I ever since the Knights of the Old Republic remake blunder thing, I'm just so anytime there's any game studio announces trouble, my mind's on. It's like, well, that's gone. That's never.
Right. Wait, did that get canceled? They were going to do No, they were going to do the third chapter of the Knights of the Old Republic, right? But
the plan was to remake the first one for like next gen,
right?
And
that got canceled.
Yeah, that got canceled, then uncanceled, then canceled, then uncanceled, then canceled again. And then there's been lots of rumors about maybe a third one, but just like nothing's really.
Yeah. I thought that was announced. They were going to do sort of like another installment of Knights of the Old Republic.
Maybe I don't remember hearing that. But that'd be awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do a little research on this pod to confirm that. But we do know we're going to be getting
Fate of the Old Republic is on the way, so that's exciting.
That's it. Fate of the Old Republic. Yeah. Thank you. That's what it's called.
Yeah, the trailer was spectacular. But again, we only saw a cinematic trailer, so this is still an early development. So it would be nice to see early proof of concept stuff or something. Maybe some pre-alpha stuff at some point, like that could maybe make us believers, but we haven't seen any of that for.
So this is wild.
Eclipse.
I completely missed this announcement. I'm just now Googling it. I do not remember this happening at all. Like that's wild.
Yeah, we talked about it on the pod, bro.
I'm sure.
It
I was
happened.
not paying attention.
Yeah, you already played it. Actually, you were great.
Yeah, teaser trailer and everything. I just completely missed this thing. That's awesome.
Well, there's a lot of answers that need to be. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the Fate of the Republic. I think a lot of people want to know sort of what happened to the Jedi and how they rebuild, and what happened to the Sith, and what's going on with the historical sort of like timeline of both those factions. I think there's because they created some of the coolest Sith Lords of all time, and I think. We'll eventually do a bonus episode that's going to be pretty Sith heavy, and I think it's worth mentioning those characters when we do that at some point. So
yeah, that definitely is it. And you know what, Grant, this will actually get me I will play 1 and 2 somehow. I'll find a way.
I think I think if you play 1 for content, and Adam and I just comment on everything you're doing, and we do pods about it, like that would be a great time. I think you.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a little KOTOR corner, and I'll just be able to tell you what I did today.
Yeah, that would make me very happy.
Or in the week, that'd be pretty funny. Oh, okay. All right. I'll be in it. If I can ever stop playing Borderlands 4, then I'll get right on that. Yeah.
That's still the one, huh? Okay.
I'm a sicko.
That's
I
amazing.
know it's wrong. It's not healthy. There's nothing right there. But I'll tell you what, tons of joy. Bring me
Well, we
tons
have
of
Galactic Racer coming, and we've got Zero Company on the horizon. We've got
Yeah.
great Star Wars games, ahead. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to pick up Zero Company, but that's a lot like XCOM. If you play those games, or like turn-based, third-person
Dude, it's Star Wars. It's
strategy games.
new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
I'm
good.
gonna buy it. I'm gonna play it. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone. But I mean, when the first, when the Battlefront reboot came out, that was out of my comfort zone too, because it was like only multiplayer, only first person shooter, and I like didn't really do those types of games. And then became a sicko about that. And then Battlefront 2, I was an extra sicko, and so who knows? Maybe I'll love it. But like, what was it? What was the Starfighter game?
Uh, Squadrons.
Squadrons. Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't even finish that. Like I just got my butt kicked by that game, and I thought I was going to be I was going to be a bad man in the cockpit,
Yeah,
and
it was a tough
I
game.
was not.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
tough.
not a bad man. No, I was a bad pilot.
There's a lot of like veering until you lined up your sights, and it was like it almost was like you want to play a game where you're always turning. It was tough.
I also
I mean, the multiplayer was kind of stupid because like the meta was like it was not real starfighting, and then like even the story mode, there was like too many controls, and I just couldn't sort of figure out how to like get them to work for me, and I'd even lose on like,
I
yeah.
I still have a very visceral memory about that, which is that came out like pandemic-y times, and Carly was away for some reason, and so I ordered my favorite pizza, which was the Hulk pizza.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's like a buff chick with jalapenos, right?
Yeah, with candied jalapenos on it and blue cheese drizzle. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. And
Stop it.
and I felt like a kid again because I was literally playing in the basement because that's where I was working, and I was like had that and a 2-liter of Pepsi and just sat there for 5 hours playing that game. I felt so gross, but it was amazing. It was just like, yeah. So
dude, you're winning. That's what winning looks like.
Yeah. I like that game a lot. I was okay at it. I think I played a lot of the TIE Fighter and X-Wing games on PC a long time. So I was kind of tuned in, but I feel like that game was geared towards VR. I think people who had VR sets had a leg up on that game because you could look around better to see what was going on your sides. So that's my theory. Yeah.
Yeah, that could make more sense. Yeah, there was just like too many buttons to press to just like sort of be in the moment, and then you had to have lightning quick reactions. I always did well in the Starfighter portions of the like Battlefront games, but those are pretty dumb games of dumb controls. It's just like fast, slow, up, down, side, like shoot missiles, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, similar to
Outlaw was a little easier. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hershey.
Outlaws. Outlaws was pretty similar to the controls of. A little more complex, but not really, because you could throw like countermeasures and you had like, turret guns and stuff. But that was actually a happy medium for me. It was a little more advanced, but then you just soup up your ship and then you just like take down like Star Destroyers.
That's the thing. I like the scaling of Outlaws for that reason, that you could fight against Star Destroyers and things like that, because that reminds me of like old school X-Wing.
Yeah. And actually, I think in the DLC you could like you could bring it to another level and then you were just like invincible.
Yeah, it gets pretty wild in the DLC. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the next Jedi game too, with Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
So that's also in the mix. So that'll be fun. And we know we play those games. We love those games. That'll be great to review that when that comes out.
I'm excited to see what the next like evolution of that game is. Like what will be the new mechanics? Who will be the characters? Will they sort of, they like the customization, of the lightsabers was like took a quantum leap in 2 and Survivor, and that was amazing. And is what else will you be able to do? Will you be able to play as different characters other than Cal? Will just be Cal focused? Like I don't know. There's a lot.
I feel like he's taking a little bit of the spotlight from Finn though, because I always thought Finn was going to be the first blaster lightsaber person like ever. I was like, I think he's going to be a Force lightsaber blaster, commander we've never seen before for the Free Republic or New Republic 2.0.
Yeah, I know it's tough, right? It was that Cal Katarn, all that. Like it's
I thought Finn was shaping up to be that character.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Well, still could be, because smaller percentage play the game, right, and call it in there. But I love video games. I love storytelling in video games, but that is the one where I I'm excited for the gameplay. I'm just actually literally more excited for the story, which I can't remember the last time where I'm like, I need to know where this is going because I really love the story in both those games. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the Bode story got me. I think I was like, this is pretty emotional. This is pretty hard hitting, and I really like. Marin is awesome in.
Marin's great.
Survivor. So her story gets even cooler and cooler.
Daughters will be an interesting like story to follow. Like, is it going to do a time jump? But yeah, I mean, they really just emptied the bag for the last game as far as like, oh yeah, you can do broadswords, like different lightsabers, like, and then the blaster. I kind of feel like canonically it makes more sense for him to stop using blasters, knowing sort of that came from Bode and like where he was on the spectrum of light side, dark side, and but
like as a player and you're customizing, you're like,
yeah,
right. It's like, are they going to bring in like armor next? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, they're probably got to do something different.
Yeah,
that's interesting. New force powers.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be. I know they're going to want to escalate it, but I don't know. Maybe they just sort of leave the mechanics as they are, or maybe simplify some of those things, but give you some more customizable aesthetics, and then really focus on the story, and that would be cool too. Because I love it. I mean, the temple diving, the High Republic. Then you've got the fall of the Old Republic. Like it's got history. It's got all, and then the path. Right, the path is these are all some of my favorite storylines in Star Wars.
And little spoiler wall here, like the Siri Junda fight v Vader is maybe one of the coolest fights of all time.
Yeah, that was
over that like what are they in, like a library on Jeddah or something? What is
he was building. Awesome. Yeah, they were building a new Jedi temple, and like records repository, and trying to find all the people. And,
like a relic or something.
And again, that is something that as a dork, I'm like super excited about. Like it's just a gold mine of like awesomeness. So.
Yeah. And seeing the High Republic through that just one glimpse of Tanalorr and like these interesting characters instead of sort of living in the High Republic as we did with the novels, it was cool to kind of like glimpse it in this way. And the game was great.
Yeah, for sure. It's wild. I feel like a lot of the other games that come out, don't really deal with lore all that much. Like Outlaws, I like it, but it feels very focused on a very specific time period. It just seems like a side story. It's good, but like the Survivor Jedi games just feel like they're adding to the lore and playing around with it. Like the fact that the path is in there kind of is wild, right? It's a whole thing.
Hopefully we get back to the path with something. It's been a long time since we've sort of even talked about it. It's just something that gets mentioned. Maybe it stays cryptic for a while, but it's so ripe for storytelling.
Absolutely. Feels like a very, very fruitful narrative vein to tap into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's so cool. No. And the path, and I know we're Ben, this is the way. And I think it's important that we eventually do something as good as the path in terms of like doing a little in memoriam for some of the recent, creatives, the creatives who have passed recently. And now for our very special in memoriam segment. We haven't really spent time talking about Marcia Lucas and Jeff Olson and some really tough losses we've had in the creative family at Lucasfilm. And I just thought we'd talk about Marcia Lucas because I'll take any chance I can to talk about New Hollywood and sort of that movement and everyone involved in that, friend base of, Scorsese, Lucas, Spielberg, De Palma, Coppola, and her. Like, Marcia was in the mix, and she was wanted by all of them to come to screenings and check out their movies and give her opinion because, like, her taste was huge. Like to all of them, Marty, she helped. She worked on Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. She worked in New York. I mean, like she's had an extensive career with Marty as well as George. And and then A New Hope. Like A New Hope is still my number one Star Wars movie of all time. And it's like, I love Empire, but A New Hope sort of like set the tone. And like, she basically, her editorial of that film is like incredible. And I don't know if you guys worship sort of like the third act of that film like I do, but it's like, that's pretty much her. And she decided one trench run. She decided to reuse the priming of the laser on Alderaan and the destruction of Alderaan to create like a time in a bottle device to create a countdown, to make it one trench run, to make it this like just what it is, this monumental scene, and then working on the thinking Han Solo at the very end of that scene is like the most important moment of the movie, and that needs to work, and that needs to feel huge, and like that knowing that she was sort of like was splicing all that stuff is it's so cool, and it's worth acknowledging. That's a tough loss.
It's so
Lucas.
I was gonna say about that. You feel like when you hear the behind the scenes stories about George, he felt very. When you hear about him, the writing of it and the shooting of it, especially all the Tatooine, like the extensive Tatooine scenes, right, that were on there with like all of his friends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he felt
Marcia saw all that stuff and said it didn't work, and she was like, "Let's bring in Paul Hirsch," and she brought in an assistant editor to work on all that stuff and cut it up and get rid of the teen hangout and have Luke, Luke's introduction be just the droid auction and all that stuff was decided by Marcia and Paul.
Lucas felt
these scenes are perfect, and like the
it is perfect. George is amazing. He is such a creative. I feel like at that point he had a little bit of like losing the forest for the trees at times when you hear him, like you see all the stuff.
Well, he was in the hospital for mental exhaustion at that point. The movie was
I can only
over
imagine.
budget. The VFX was not there. And they were working on that at ILM, eventually inventing, a sea change in VFX technology, and using the Dijkstra, jib and stuff like that, doing all that stuff, a Dijkstra flex, and I feel like she had to come in, and George was kind of like, "Please look at the movie, please do what you can." The edit from the British editor was a disaster essentially, and like the studio also like didn't want the Force to be as big of a theme or as big of a sort of talking point as it is in the script. They were like, let's this Force thing, like we keep saying, like, do we have to say it this many times? And Marcia Lucas was a staunch defender of the Force. That's known by everyone. That's cool. And she thought the studio didn't want Han to say it, and she was like, no, Han has to say it.
The non-believer has to be
like it has to happen.
We've talked about it before about all of the things that had to go right for that movie to become as iconic as it was, and not just another weird 70s sci-fi movie. And we talk a lot about John Williams' score being essential, the Ben Burt sound effects, right? The special effects, the Greeblies. We talk about all these things, and I feel like Marcia Lucas is often forgotten, and I feel like she should be. Anytime you list all the things that went right in that film, her name needs to be up there with everyone else's, because if she wasn't there, I guarantee you, just like if John Williams wasn't there or the other ones weren't there, this film would not be. We wouldn't be here having this podcast. It would just be this kind of curio from the mid 70s.
Wow. I'm really glad you guys shared that, because of course she would have been there at that time period in Hollywood and with all those people, because she was with George, but I've never heard her name. They always, when they're talking about, doing documentaries about the making of The New Hope, they always go to Spielberg and being like, he was like, I was the only one who liked it, but it was like, he wasn't the one in the room. He wasn't the one making the cuts. It was like, the real other voice in the room. It sounds like it's Marcia, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And really saved that film. So I'm glad you guys brought this up, because I didn't really realize I'm like, oh, of course she was the editor. I had heard that, but like, I mean,
I mean, she won the Academy Award, right, for editing that year for Star Wars.
Yes,
90% sure that's right.
Is that maybe one of the awards? You have VFX in that, maybe. I don't know what won that year. I think like Rocky won that year or something.
Rocky won for a lot. I know. I mean, you're gonna Google.
She won an Academy Award for Best Film Editing for Star Wars.
Yeah, one of the few. Like, it didn't win a ton.
Yeah, she was nominated for American Graffiti and for a BAFTA for Taxi Driver. Wow, Taxi Driver.
Yeah, Paul Schrader and Scorsese. And she continued editing with both George and Marty for years. But just a legend.
She worked on THX 1138 too.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So she goes back then. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they got divorced before Return of the Jedi, and she ended up,
that was
and they worked together. Like, I was just reading, like, she said, like, George basically said, "Yep, we can get divorced. Please, can we not announce it until after Return of the Jedi. So it's like this weird, interesting behind the scenes, like they work together. It seems like they had a really good working relationship, whatever went on in their personal lives. Yeah.
He's also pretty open about being like devastated by it and that being a sort of early sort of heartache for him, and had dealing with that in his storytelling, obviously thinking about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch some of those old documentaries, but I think it's also important that we talk about Jeff Olson. He's legendary, renowned model maker, model supervisor, VFX producer, with like 25 years plus, at ILM. That is incredible. And worked on like Willow, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Phantom Menace, obviously the prequels. And like, I don't know. If you've watched those BTS, documentaries, you've seen George walking around with those models, and Jeff Olson's right there every time. So it's like, for us who kind of lived on that stuff, it's hard. It's tough to lose these, geniuses, and especially in VFX where they might have the answer. Someone in the office has the answer. They might have it. It's tough. But so Jeff Olson, another huge loss.
It's amazing. And when you read some of his other stuff, because like Star Wars is easy, and he did like some of the later Star Trek movies, like First Contact and the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, which both look great. I mean, Star Trek First Contact, by the way, is visually like the special effects on that with the Borg is so good. But like the other ones that jumped out to me that I think are fascinating, it's just because of my age, is like Die Hard 2, right? You don't think of it, but that movie has so many special effects. There's so many plane crashes in that film that are like still to this day terrify me with flying, because I just think of those planes falling out of the sky in Die Hard 2. And Ghostbusters 2, which is like a much maligned film, probably correctly, but I still remember seeing that as a kid and seeing was it the Fratelli brothers, whatever the two ghost brothers that show up in the sewers or in the subway. It's just, I don't know, the special effects on that in that movie are stellar.
Yeah, they took it to another level there. All that stuff with the painting, animating, and I mean, his IMDb, I'm just taking a look at. I mean, Backdraft, like it's just all he's been doing is blockbusters since '82.
Yeah,
Back to the Future Part 3, Howard the Duck, Willow, Caddyshack 2.
Yeah,
Back to the Future 3, tons, man. Signs. Herbie Fully Loaded.
Signs is a good one. Signs, it's got some wonky special effects at the end. I think that's more of the early CGI than his fault. But like some of the alien, the non-CGI alien stuff is done really well.
Yeah, he's a banger, man. R.I.P. Jeff and R.I.P. Marcia.
Rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, weeks.
Yeah, it's tough, but and it's tough to go from video games to an in memoriam, but let's say we don't want too much time to pass.
We should have talked about this a while ago, but you know what? We get to things in our own time, but we're gonna get to it.
I started it. I asked about Eclipse.
Oh, we get to it. And you never thought we would talk about the Sam Witwer comments from like 2 weeks ago, but we're gonna do it right now.
We have to.
Guys, Sam Witwer spoke again, and so we're gonna talk about it. But this is like a little snippet into our text chain, because this happens more than a little bit, but this is we're just shooting obviously quotes back and forth, but so this was
quick side note, just so everyone can understand how much this happens. I put my phone down, and 3 hours later I picked it up, and I had 85 missed messages.
That's typical.
That's about right.
It's like, don't blink.
Standard.
You can
it's not an exaggeration. It actually happened. I almost took a screenshot of it, but I forgot.
Grant's an early riser. Like, I'll get up, I'll walk my dog, I'll feed her, I'll sit down.
You'll have a sip of coffee,
and I'll be like, oh my god. And I will have like a treatise.
Yes. And manifesto.
A manifesto, and it'll be a tweaked version of a manifesto I've heard 30 times.
I can't believe you guys don't have these same thoughts, though. It's like that's what I'm.
I do.
We had this friendship where it was an open space.
No, I love it. That's the best part of my day. I'm drinking my coffee. My dog's happy. I'm happy. The hope springs eternal, and and Rey should have been affiliated with Darth Vader's like resurrected corpse. It's like, it just makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. No,
Who made the inhibitor chip, guys? Who made it? We don't know. Totally normal thoughts. No big deal.
Totally normal. Anyways, here's a little quote from Sam Witwer. He was speaking to the Pause for Thought podcast. And pretty much saying that, much like Andor, Gilroy before him, that Star Wars franchise needs to take more risks going forward if it's to adapt to the needs of the changing theatrical audience. So I think the other night we talked about this for an hour and a half, but
Sure.
it's sort of like what comes next. This is the big question that I think that the three of us are thinking about all the time. And like, which direction can they go in? What direction should they go in? What would be fun? What would be wild? But this is what Whitwer's comment on it. He says, you have to take creative risks. It's like the Maul character who Whitwer voiced, right?
Yeah.
If you're not doing risks with the Maul character, do something really new with him. You should not be taking the character out. And I think it's the same thing with Star Wars in general. And when it comes to risk, certain things are going to hit with certain audiences. Everyone has their favorite. But without that spirit of experimentation, you don't get anywhere. We've been working on season 2 for quite some time. When he says season 2, he's talking about season
of
Shadow Lord.
Shadow.
Yeah. Which is, because I got greenlit a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, we've already put some time in on it.
Yes, because the guy who runs Lucasfilm happened to have his show greenlit for a second season. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Never mind. I mean,
all joking aside, the boss. Yeah.
All joking aside, deserved it. It's a great show. I'm very excited about season 2. But just every time I find that funny, I'm like, and Ahsoka's going to get season 3? No, I'm just like waiting for it.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, maybe this is a thing, like he would have greenlit, Acolyte 2 right out of the gate, because it's just nope, you need 1 to get 2, and 2 is going to
deserves it.
1.
It deserves it. All joking aside. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've been working on season 2 for quite some time. In the George Lucas mold, we end up, it's kind of like a different show, a new show, in the same way that Empire Strikes Back is much, much different than A New Hope. So there's obviously threads from season 1 because it's the same characters, but it takes place sometime after season 1. That's about as far as I should probably go. At the end of the day, it is all about risk taking. And I think as audience members, as a fan myself, I accept that if you are taking swings, that means that you're not going to connect with everything, but you have to take risks. Like Shadow Lord, we were doing some weird stuff, and hopefully when you watch the show, it feels like breezy and fun. But when you're making that, none of that is clear because you're not looking at the finished product at the start. But our spirit was to try something totally new, yet totally familiar at the same time. So I know how hard this is, I guess. And I'll just start with that last quote is like something that's near and dear to my heart. Like, I think all of these so-called critics online, and ourselves included, and no one can really appreciate the blank page and coming up with a Star Wars from the blank page. Like Grant can, he literally does it. He writes his own things and bounces it off and struggles all that. It's really, really hard. And then it's not just you in the blank page when you're in Hollywood, it's you, the blank page, and all these executives with financial interests that are hell-bent on ruining your creative vision. So, and I'm glad that he mentioned that anyways. But other thoughts about this? Grant, why did you share this?
Yeah, I have a couple of different thoughts. I probably have 3 different branches of thoughts about this, which is I think Maul himself is a sort of massive creative risk as a character, because we'll use me as an example. I'm one of the fans who sort of doesn't understand Maul living beyond the Phantom Menace for the dramatic sake of the saga films. That's sort of like, I almost feel like it robs some of the dramatics out of Qui-Gon Jinn's death and Obi-Wan's defeat of a Sith. Like, that stuff is so monumentally heroic and interesting to me. That sort of gets canceled by that, much like Emperor returning in Rise of Skywalker sort of cancels the Darth Vader story beat that is incredible. And I think Maul is sort of a creative risk because I wasn't a huge fan of it. But saying that, I thought Maul Shadow Lord was awesome. Like, I thought it had really, more than any other Star Wars project so far, I feel like taking some notes from Andor and sort of like worked on the dramatics and worked on the characters and sort of like the personal journeys of everyone. And seeing a pupil fall to the dark side in a way that's paced out nice. It's almost like the corrective narrative for Revenge of the Sith. It's like Anakin's fall is so abrupt, and this is Devon's fall is happening very slowly, very naturally, and it happens after the fall of the Order, which makes perfect sense. It's when the Jedi are the most desperate, and they're sort of trying to survive. They're basically struggling to survive every day.
And how much sense does it make? And I just thought about this. I don't even think we talked about this when we were covering the show, but that, like, how much sense does it make that like someone would want revenge against Darth Vader? Like,
Yeah.
he's the worst ever, and he's turning people evil because like he's such a terrible force in the
Right.
galaxy. Like, of course it would make you want to do terrible things to like defeat tyranny, which he embodied.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
show. Fantastic show. So I think it was risky. But saying that, I really don't think it's as bold or risky as Whitwer is making it out to be. I think he's talking about season 2. I think this is a clickbait sort of clip farmed thing taken out of context or something. But
I will also
it's
say,
like I'm sure he's talking about the season 2, and I'm sure he's saying that there's going to be a time jump, and you're going to have to sort of like see where Devin and Maul are, 3 or 4 years away from.
I will also say it's really hard to analyze the thing you're working on. As he says a little bit of that in there, because like, I think if you talk to any Star Wars creative on any of the shows or films we watched, they all felt like they were taking a risk at some way or another. Does that make sense? Like, cause I feel like that's there. The problem is not the creatives, I don't think, right, in these situations. The problem is, and I don't speak for everything, but like, just watching, okay, you guys don't know this, but I plan to watch every single MCU created thing between now and Doomsday, and I did the math, and I need to watch 45 minutes of Marvel every day between now and December 17th to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an inhuman task. Oh my God.
It's great. 45 minutes. It's like I'm on the bike 40 minutes a day. It's like that. And I'm washing dishes. I'm pacing it. I'm like at an hour and 10 every day. I'm ahead of schedule.
You're downloading that footage.
Yeah. I have a spreadsheet, guys, and everything.
That you do.
Yeah. So I'm only I'm watching, by the way, I'm watching it in universe chronological order, kind of. So I started with like Captain America and then did Captain Marvel. Anyway, long story short, watching like phase 1, I'm like, they're taking some weird risks here, right? Like they're doing some stuff that I'm like, kind of wild. Some of these movies were made the way they were made. And then you get to kind of current Marvel, not that we need to dissect it. And I feel like the risk is gone. I feel like all of these last few movies, maybe apart from Thunderbolts is the only one that I felt like took any type of risk. And maybe that's why it's the one I've enjoyed the most. But what I'm saying is I feel like we're just in a risk-averse culture right now. I mean, we were talking about private equity firms before we started recording. And that is the most risk-averse thing I've ever seen, right? Like they don't want to take any risks and things die on the vine because of it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's literally ruined everything. It just ruined my Boston Celtics today. Like it ruins everything, and I'm worried about Star Wars, man. Like I just am, because I hope Filoni and Lucasfilm and they just like have enough clout to sort of be like, nope, this needs to be about creative vision here. You can't just like cheapen this. We can't make it with cheaper parts, like And
I feel like taking risks, like I have a different idea for what a bold risk is, I think, than what we're talking about here, which I think like we outlined, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago when we talked about the timeline and if Lucasfilm could jump around, way in the past or way in the future. And we said they really can't go way in the future because that would sort of like leave behind this chunk of the timeline that they have a million visual dictionaries on. And then to go way in the past could be a whole new thing. It could be fine. I think it's like, it doesn't affect the sort of like what is turned into this like giant sort of all encompassing, cubic unit of Star Wars lore that's sort of trapped in that prequel or High Republic. I'll keep even High Republic in there. I feel like it's not too distant from the prequel era. So I feel like you can keep that in and almost like bottle it with where they are now with post the Battle of Exegol. So it's interesting to see. To like, that's a risk to me, leaving the time to go to a different area in the timeline that's unexpected and it's all new and it feels completely fresh. That's a risk to me. I think say what you will about The Last Jedi. I feel like using legacy characters that you have preconceived ideas of and subverting that, or like doing like, that's risky, that's bold. I
it's the riskiest of the sequel trilogies for sure. Yeah.
And then Andor with its thematic messaging, sort of like what Gilroy actually wanted Marvel to say was, F the Empire. And I'm like, that's like, those scripts are so powerful. And it's like, that sort of thematic messaging, that's bold. And I think Shadowlord had some of that going on, which was awesome. That's sort of what I did note. And I was like, it's got some of these personal journeys that are really complex and dark. And you're seeing people just die left and right. And it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good in terms of the dramatics and the sort of like fighting fascism and escaping this tyranny and sort of like what you're talking about and sort of like waging your own revolution. And in a criminal way though. Like it's almost the seedy gangster version of Andor, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question on the other side of that equation? And
Please.
I don't want to start a fight, but is Mandalorian Grogu the least riskiest movie they've ever done?
I would say so. I mean, it's like almost literally Japanese cinema. So
yeah,
it's like so Grant
it's a
and I
warm
had
blanket of a movie. It's a warm blanket.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Adam, I think this was the most recent 83 messages that you missed, because Grant and I got into like one of my favorite like text discussions about what is exciting and what is bold in Star Wars. Like what's the guide star? And Grant and I had diametrically opposite ideas, but Grant, of course, pulled me over to his side afterwards, because what he's saying is something that I hadn't really thought about. But it's sort of like, what is bold? And, you know, I had thought like, okay, well, everyone thinks they're a super movie critic, and they, you know, want this to be, you know, they want Star Wars to be high cinema. I'm like, give them high cinema and see if they actually like it. And, but Grant, you had kind of an opposite thing, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you were just sort of like, no, they need to get more core to what they are, and like it's like Star Wars isn't high cinema essentially. I mean, it's excellent cinema, but it's mythology first.
It's space operas. It's like,
well, it's the highest form of cinema, and I feel like feel like you have a pretty strong formula of, you know, space opera dramatics, you know, spectacular space battles, new and exotic locales. You have so much that's just so fruitful and great and awesome that like you're going to have in your movie no matter what. Like that is incredible that's just what Star Wars is. So I think it's the highest form of cinema. I just feel like what DC is doing and what some other studios are doing with sort of like how they're genreifying the storytelling. And I just do worry about them never getting back to a central. And I do think, ironically, I think the critics are all dead wrong about their opinions of Star Wars, of modern Star Wars, because I do think Star Wars has always been a legacy-based sort of idea, and about family and the dramatics of family attachments and things like that. I think that's just what it's built a vehicle for. And so I think that they will have to create another first family of Star Wars, and I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know what name that's going to be, but I think like that's essentially when I think I'll check back in a real way. It's sort of like if this Flynn character in the new Starfighter movie is incredible, like this could be a whole new, you know, tier of characters that we could all, you know, be interested in or something.
Yeah. So just to tie that back to what you were saying about Mandalorian and Grogu, I think Mandalorian and Grogu is just really, really, really core to Star Wars. It's like Japanese cinema in the galaxy far, far away, and it's successful for that reason. Like, is it bold? Like, I think a choice that conservative is bold. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if I agree, but I get your argument. Yeah.
No, it's not doing anything wild. It's just it knows exactly what it is, and it's shooting for it. But I do think it's successful because of how central it is to the core of what Star Wars is.
Yeah. No,
it's definitely Star Wars, you know, high concentrate.
Yes.
Like Mandalorian and Grogu, like it's got everything. All the pillars of Star Wars are there, with a limited amount of characters whose personal journeys you can't always relate to, obviously, because Grogu is a 50-year-old child with the Force. But nonetheless, you still just treat him like
don't worry about that.
Your child, right? Like so, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense in that way. Yeah.
It's one of those things where, and again, I do really like the movie, and I'm not just saying that because we're on a podcast. I think about the movie quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. But it felt very studio. We need a hit. We need something quick. We need to get people interested in Star. It felt very calculated, right? And I think Favreau did and Filoni did the best they could, right? And they told a very weird story.
Are you saying the Mandalorian and Grogu's glorified marketing, Adam? Is that what you're
honestly
saying?
Yes, I am. I know, and I hate to say that because I don't want that to detract from the movie, which I think is quite good, but it is. I think it absolutely is. I mean, the way that
the Disney store is loaded with new Grogu stuff, and everything is just loaded with new merchandise, and it's
I know.
and it's great stuff. Like I want to buy it. Like I love this stuff.
It did what it needed to do, right? Like, but the inception of that film was basically we have all these other films that we said we're going to make. They're all in development hell. We need to get something out. It's been almost a decade, which is crazy to think about since the last Star Wars film. Let's get it out. And the thing I think is the takeaway, the more I think about that, is that movie is so weird in such ways. Like just the fact that like one of your main characters is a Hutt named Rhoda and is like fighting in arenas, and by fighting it just rolls around on top of things. Like it is like it's profoundly weird, and I appreciate Favreau and Filoni being able to kind of, that almost feels like snuck in, like they almost got it past like Lucasfilm in some ways, but I don't know. I just think it still feels like the least riskiest move, and I feel like that's why it just did fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think it was not a flop. It wasn't a hit because it just kind of was a very middle of the road in what it was trying to do, and I don't know, like Starfighter, I'm hoping will do something.
It was like a VOD action movie, basically. Yeah, it was essentially like, here's Mando taking out some Imperial remnant and recovering a gangster's son. End of season 1 of what is essentially a sort of.
Yeah, I kind of think you guys are taking what came before for granted a little bit here. If there were no live action seasons of Mandalorian before you saw that movie, you would lose your mind. It would be like, wow, this is the coolest movie I've ever seen.
But he's already done cooler stuff in the show, and we've seen Luke Skywalker appear in the show. It's sort of like, if that was the peak, you know what I mean? And then now this is where we are with the
I think that was an outlier, man. I think that's the kind of thing that like they're going to be really sparing with, and it may have been the peak for us as like hardcore lore fans. And I mean, and probably for most of Star Wars fandom, if we're being honest, like Luke Skywalker's kind of,
I just don't know what the Mandalorian and Grogu are, other than just like comic book characters. Like to me, they're almost like Adventure of the Week dude bros, and I'm like, I don't really understand. So I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Like sort of what the film is essentially. Like they're making a feature about them. I'm like, what is that about? And then I generated a bunch of my own ideas of maybe getting into the Mandalorian Creed more, like. What does it mean to take out these remnant? What are you discovering about the remnant as you're taking out the officers? Is there a deeper sort of like supervillain, like Bond supervillain that you're going to get to? Is like something else there that we're going to learn about? Yeah. And then I'm generating all this stuff, but it's like, and it's really just like rescue the Hutt kid,
it's just an 80s action,
and then like
it's just
blow up some stuff. It's like, it's Commando. It's an 80s action.
Which is like, because the more I think about that's what I'm trying to like when I view it,
which I like,
I like it quite a bit.
We've said on this pod they're missing that whole Dash Rendar thing. Like we've said that like I don't know years ago, but like
it's just
like they're missing the 80s action movie, but the 80s action movie needs like more quips, and the Mando's very silent, stoic,
very dry.
It's
a couple of This Is the Way, and
the Man with No Name. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
There was
you want more quips. You want Mando saying more stuff. I feel like I think it got the point.
I think it could have gone one of three ways. And that's is like, you're going to move the lore forward, you're going to move the plot forward. It didn't do that, which is fine, right? Like it's straight up.
Yeah.
You could have delved
plot forward, you could argue, because it got Rada in the mix with the New Republic, and then
it took out
killed two remnant officers, the Shadow
I'm going to be real harsh. That's something I could have done.
Council members were defeated.
That's something I could have done in a single 30-minute episode of The Mandalorian. Sorry.
That's so
sorry.
true.
I just let me get through. Two, they could have done a deep exploration.
Ben's about to get up. Ben's about to leave the pod right now.
They could have done a deep exploration of Din Djarin and Grogu's relationship. No. I would argue that's not in the film either.
Yeah.
I can't remember the third one because I'm on my second beer. But my thought is that the more I let that stuff go and think about this as a fun action 80s movie, the more I appreciate it. And again, I didn't walk out of that film either time going, "Oh, what was that?" It's just kind of, it's I've had to. This is what I do with every Star Wars film. I've had to kind of like figure out where to place it and what to do with it. But it's odd.
I feel like Solo and Mando and Grogu are a great double feature because they're both kind of swaggy. Like I almost want like there to be a swaggy.
They're super swaggy. That'd be
category.
A great double feature. Yeah. No, that's what I mean, guys. That's what it is. It's like it's the movie they could
swag
make,
wars,
and they wanted to make a movie, and there it was. And you have Jon Favreau sitting there, and it was that. It was all the things you just said, but I think all those things have value. All those things are like, I want to see a Commando Star Wars. I do. You know, maybe not like right now after this massive layoff. Is it the thing I want to see most? No. But like I'm stoked it exists, and I'm stoked I got to see it, and I thought it did it really well, and it was like super fun, and like you're just making me like this more. I'm like, oh no, all my favorite things, and like yeah, I mean the lore stuff is really why I'm here, but I just thought it was just such a really cool core Star Wars adventure that made all the right references and deep, all the right like deep lore pulls, like not too many. There was like, there was a million in Solo, right? And I respect that. But like there was like 5, like it was like Droid Gatra, the Hutts, now Hutta, Embo, and like that was kind of it. And it was like not too many deep pulls. And
it's I don't know. I'm not, it's one of those things like I'm glad you really like it. I think I really like it. I'm just still processing, right? Because it didn't do any of the things I was expecting it to do, but that doesn't make it bad. Does that make sense? It just, it did surprise me, and I think in a good way. We shall see. That's going to take me years of reclamation, I think, to figure out where I actually land on that film.
Yeah, but like risky, I mean,
I don't think it is. I can't argue that it is, but
I mean, I could
risky that it wasn't well thought out.
It's like, to make such a like basic procedural like commando movie is risky. That is risky, But like it depends how you define risk. I mean, this is what is our conversation about. What is bold? Like, what is exciting? Like, what does that actually mean? We all want like an exciting new Star Wars
from a certain point of view.
You're winning me over, Ben, because that is not the move anyone would expect, and so therefore isn't that risky.
Therefore is therefore risk. But I mean, we're being really semantic right now. But like,
I just thought you had to learn a little bit. Yeah, I thought you had to learn a little bit more about one of the two names in the title, the Mandalorian or Grogu. I thought you had to learn just a piece more, like information about one of them in the movie, and that didn't happen really.
You're talking about like disruptive advances, and they gave you incremental advances. It was sort of like,
well, they just didn't advance that. They were just like,
Grogu now puts on his own armor. He straps himself up. He's doing agency to be his own thing. Like that's an incremental.
And those were the commando moments. Like those were the action scene moments that were like, so it's sort of subversive and hilarious in that way. That it's sort of like, oh, Arnold is Grogu in this movie. Essentially, it's like, and like that's like basically the framing of the movie.
So that would make Din Djarin. Let's pull this out. That makes Din Djarin Alyssa Milano.
Yeah,
good. That's about right.
That's about right. Yeah. I think Pedro Pascal would be like cool with that. He'd be like, yeah, that's a pretty good actual.
Yeah.
So that was risky. But like to me, I'm going to this movie being like, are they going to do something where like they're closer at the end of this movie, or he learns something about Grogu that's like, I don't know. I thought there was like not about where he comes from or anything like that. I wouldn't divulge that information, but just like something more about his Jedi training or what he remembers from like the temple.
Something. Yeah. There was a line in the preview that was like, he's going to live long after you're dead, right? And I found that really moving and really interesting. And this idea again. Not to bring up episode 8, but it's like they grow beyond what we are, right? Like that's the thing. And I expected that to be a little more of the story. And it's there. Like it's there. It's not explicit, but there is a lot of what you mentioned, Ben, right? Like he is responsible for saving Din Djarin from the poison. And the creepiest scene in the movie, that is why I can't show my 6-year-old that movie, which is all the bugs that come out to try to eat him.
The bugs try to eat him.
Which is amazing. I love that.
It's silly,
love it. So she can't watch that for another couple of years because of that. So there's
probably watch it and ask for a pet tarantula.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, we're reading Charlotte's Web that she seems to be identifying with the spider, so that's good. But we are
the Amani are way scarier than anything.
Yeah, having to come back, having to save people, like he is a little more independent and a little more. I don't know. It's there, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a tough title to then do something profound, though. The Mandalorian Grogu just sounds like two bros hanging, getting closer.
It also
taking out like giant domes of huts.
But even based on like the logo itself is not promising anything more than a fun romp. Does that make sense? Like
it's not.
The color it chose. They were telegraphing what type of movie they were going to show you.
Yeah, they gave us exactly what I thought we'd get.
They even said it was going to underperform. That's why it's like it feels like a Disney Plus, like VOD Disney Plus movie. Like it really does not feel like a theatrical Star Wars film to me personally. Like that's just how I felt.
I know where your bar lies, and I appreciate that. And you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Like
the more I think about it, I think they took the George Lucas serial idea behind Star Wars very much to heart. It is really more I think about. It feels like a serial. Like it feels like you would watch 15 minutes of this before a movie for over 6 months, right? And have like
and it has like Clone Wars.
What it
like,
is.
It has like
that is the show. Like it would be if they didn't do that, it almost wouldn't be honest to the show or faithful to the show, right?
Yeah.
But like I feel like there's a space for that. Like Serenity like felt like a movie, right? But whereas Firefly was very serial. You know?
Yeah.
That's a great example to pull into this, because Serenity does feel like this all important interstellar galactic plot, and Firefly is just them, having adventures of the week, and
it's one of the few things that is equivalent to this. Like this and the X-File movies are the only thing that did that kind of show to a big screen.
And the X-Files movies weren't super successful. Like it was kind of like Mando and Grogu. It was kind of like it's sort of like more of the show, but like this could have been like it's not even a good episode of the show. You're like all worried. You're like, oh no, this is not even like the best episode.
But I will say
the
second X-Files movie, just like Mandalorian and Grogu, is profoundly weird. That movie is profoundly weird. It's like
it is.
Half of that movie is about Billy Connolly as a pederast.
Is that the organ dealers in like the Arctic or whatever?
Yes, but what's interesting? I think what all these have in common, like Serenity and X-Files and Mandalorian and Grogu, by the way, all not hits. Like they were not giant successes.
Yeah,
they tried to thread the needle of we want to continue the story, but we also have to assume that a large proportion of our audience hasn't watched the show this is based on, so we have to be able to tell it to people who haven't watched the show, right? Like, and I honestly think that's an impossible needle to thread, because it's like by trying to please everyone.
Maybe this is okay. I have to say one thing though. Maybe this is a very smart strategic decision, because what you're doing with the Mandalorian and Grogu is providing a soft bale of hay for your everyday Star Wars fan to lay in. If Starfighter is something that they're not going to grasp onto, if Starfighter is indeed bold, you know what I mean? Like Mandalorian and Grogu is still providing a nice sort of like nest for fans that feels comfortable, and I don't know. I think if Starfighter is uncomfortable for people, we'll always have this Mando Grogu stuff and everything else from before.
Yeah. I also feel like kind of the vibe that was out there from some of the like marketing and interviewing with fans is that a lot of people were just kind of like, well, I'll just watch it on Disney Plus because it feels like it's a Disney Plus thing, right? Just because it's Mandalorian and Grogu. And so, which sucks that people think that, and that really makes me sad. But I wonder I wonder what the life of Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be like when it hits Disney Plus. I wonder what those numbers are going to be if it's not going to kind of skyrocket, right? Because so many people are waiting.
I was going to ask you, because I feel like, Adam, you are tracking that. The stuff I want to know is what is the viewership of the old Mandalorian seasons now that the movie's out? Like, has there been a bump from like people that are like, oh, I should check out the show?
That's a good question. I haven't seen those numbers or anything reporting them, but I tend to only like read stories, and I haven't seen any pop up yet, because also those numbers sometimes
that'd be
really
good actual journalism we could do. And
that's a good question. I wonder too. I know I added to those numbers quite a bit, but and so I wonder if that
to it, but like people that are like, oh, that's a whole show, maybe I should finally check that out,
Yeah. No, it
there's got to be a lot of those.
I feel like that first season is so artful, but I think a lot of people could find it profoundly weird, like we talked about.
Yeah.
How weird the Mandalorian Grogu is. I feel like
weird seems to win.
I love it.
I think it's popular. It does. It's also like that movie did exactly what it wanted to do. It may not, everyone looked at the box office numbers and it did fine. But the thing is, it also drove people probably to Disney Plus. It sold all the merchandise. It got people focused. Like, I don't think Lucasfilm is sitting there going, oh man, that was such a bomb. I think they're going, yep, we pitched one soft down the middle and it was a nice double. It did exactly what it did.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, I think their mind is it's gearing people up for Starfighter. And hopefully the way they advertise that is just kind of like, I mean, I'm not going to say it out loud, but the idea is like, this is a movie. This is not Disney Plus. This is a giant, thing.
Yeah.
So to get
they made a couple $100 million, and they like, kept Star Wars in the zeitgeist. Like it's a dub, and like, and kept the Mandalorian and Grogu going. It's their most like successful IP since they bought it. Like, they did a nice job. It's just sort of, where do they go next is kind of the thing. We talked about like maybe like serving 4 quadrants might not be the answer anymore. And I don't know what our state of mind was, because now I'm thinking like, well, yeah, actually you do. Like that is kind of a requirement of Star Wars, right? Is to like serve 4 quadrants.
Yep.
But if you're not going,
I think you have to serve a teenager essentially. Like people say Star Wars is for kids, but I feel like you almost have to serve a like a 15 or 16-year-old just getting into like pulpy comics and pulpy crime novels and things like that. Like you almost need to get that younger audience, because like that's where your imagination is firing on all cylinders. That's sort of what Star Wars. That's who Star Wars is for.
Yeah. And coincidentally, it's the same age as when like music imprints on you. So like
all that stuff starts hitting you. Yeah.
Like whatever you're listening to at that age ends up being what you listen to for the rest of your life in a lot of cases, or being your favorite music for the rest of your life. So it's like, I think you're exactly right about that. And like 4 quadrants doesn't mean everyone. It's sort of like how are you going to keep this IP alive, and who are you going to serve? But more importantly, who are you not going to serve?
Yeah.
And because that's how you really differentiate. And and so, we had a long conversation about who not to serve.
I mean, again, Star Wars was like the longest running big budget indie, storytelling endeavor by, George, who essentially, took notes from maybe Rick and Gary Kurtz and like producers and stuff like that. But I'm almost certain like George really had final say on all this stuff, and they're his stories, and especially the first 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of like new Star Wars that are coming out, Grant, you reminded me of this today, and I think you broke the news to me today. So from the Vision series, the shorts, there was one in each of the, or in the first and the third Vision seasons, called the Ninth Jedi. They're getting their own standalone show.
I know. We'll have so many episodes to review.
While you're I'm really excited about that, because I loved this storyline. And so our trailer is releasing. It will be released by the time you're listening to this episode. But but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know the 2 episodes that we've seen of the Ninth Jedi, and it's fantastic. It starts with like
I was so happy to see some sabers a smacking. Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he makes them, and he makes them so that like the crystal changes instantly, as like to fit the Jedi, the Force wielder, and they use that as a plot device to expose some Darksiders, and like really, really cool stuff. But I mean, it started with a lightsaber smith and his daughter, and his daughter's like journey as a Force sensitive, I'm pretty sure, trying to bring news of this new threat. And we don't know what time period it is. It could be super way future, it could be way past. And I kind of hope that they keep that a secret, honestly, because it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
it's outside the canon. It's they can do whatever they want.
Way outside.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which, by the way,
so it exists outside the canon, because
it does.
They're not canonizing this.
They made it very clear that the visions are not canon, but that's risk taking, right? That allows people to tell risky stories if they're not bound by canon, right?
Yeah.
So
But I mean, like it could fit in there. Like, I mean, I know Visions isn't, but they could canonize this. Like everything we've talked about tonight, I'm like, if the fact that they're doing Fate of the Old Republic, like, is that canonizing all of that? Because they should canonize those stories. Like
that's a really interesting question, because
I think
they have said that all games are canon now.
Right. So, but does that by default canonize the whole run?
No, Knights of the Old Republic is Legends still, because there's the Star Wars Unlimited trading card game, and the Knights of the Old Republic cards are sort of like have a little like gold trim to them as sort of indicated that it's Legends content.
Pedantic.
For now, bro. But I'm just saying.
And so they're not allowed to have just a regular card outline. They have to have a specific little.
God forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I respect
they're asterisks like level canon, like the KOTOR characters. So
for now, but I'm just saying in the future.
But things
Ben
have
KOTOR,
has been
like Knights of the
things
Republic, the first one, best story since
so good, so good.
Return of the Jedi.
But there's
You know what I mean? Like,
there's no
so
reason
good.
that can't be brought into canon. It doesn't violate anything, right? Like, so it's one of those things that they may decide to bring it into canon. And you're right, Ben. Like by doing this, wait, Fate of the Old Republic. What's the name of the story? No,
Is that what it is? Fate of the Old
No.
Republic?
Yeah.
I forget. You guys know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe
Fate
they
of
are.
the
Maybe
Old-
they're
Fate
just kind
of
of
the Old
paving the way to bring this in. Just do it.
Because like I could see them doing that in sort of a little rash and just sort of like being like, this is just canonizing certain pieces of the Old Republic. I don't know if that's controversial or would drive, like some people bonkers, but like I feel like I can think of a bunch of things that I'd love to canonize and maybe stuff I'd like to maybe revisit. Like Bane series is amazing, but like it would probably be a better series, like an actual like
use it as
an actual
an
live
inspiration to tell.
I think that's the
I think,
safest
like,
win more movie of all or trilogy of all time is Darth Bane, voiced by Mark Hamill. He comes back. He plays a Darksider in a helmet, and then like you get huge actors to play like the Jedi. Well, you have to use the Bane from the Clone Wars. You read you'd base it on the Carpathian stuff, but you'd fuse it with sort of how he's depicted in the Clone Wars, essentially. So you'd have to like fuse it all together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone would appreciate that, and they could still honor Carpathian in there. And and I they'd be great. But there's other stuff too, like the Lucino novel Plagueis. Like I feel like that should be canonized. Like I'm just wondering if they're going to finally open the door to way of doing it.
It would be great if you had an actor. It'd be great if you had an actor play Bane, Darth Bane. And then
Tom Hardy.
Basically, when the helmet comes on to the head, Mark Hamill is like James Earl Jones, sort of like doing the little like voice
kind of
coming out of it.
Yeah,
it's shocking that they're not doing that because it's such beautiful.
It's the most win more movie ever.
It like rhymes. No, but like it works for that reason of just the thing that people forget about Mark Hamill, I feel sometimes, is he's a very accomplished voice actor. Like he's like his Joker is my Joker. When I hear the Joker speak, in my mind, it's Mark Hamill's voice. That's all I will ever hear. And I was like a full ass adult when he started doing that voice. Yeah. But it's so iconic, and I feel like he's such a good voice actor. That's how he survived in Hollywood, in the dark times of his career. And to have him do that voice is beautiful on so many levels. And like just it's like Anthony Daniels. Like there should always be a place for Mark Hamill in Star Wars. Find a role for him. Yeah.
I think there is. There is. He's just such a lovely man. Yeah, man. Awesome. We have a bunch of stuff to cover, man. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up. We've got a novel that has been out for 6 months.
Please cover it next week because I read it. I read it 5 months ago.
I'm on the last couple chapters.
I need to check it off the list.
It's incredible.
I don't even know if I'm halfway through, and I've been reading it every night. I just read like five pages, and I'm like, boom, gone, like pass out. But I will grind it for next week, and so I will at least be fresh on it. But yeah, Low Red Moon by Michael Chen. This is the prequel novel that to the video game Outlaws, and it's really something.
We'll talk about it next week, but the lag time between how long novels take and things happen in corporations is a fascinating thing to me. So we'll talk a little about it next week. Of just like, here's a novel really nice that's like, never going to get a sequel.
Like, it's a much maligned novel, but Battle Scars actually came out right before Survivor did, and I was like, well, that's pretty good. But it's like this came like 2 years after the DLC or like came out, and you're like,
and after it was not going to get a sequel. Like it was like publicized that this is the end of the series.
Yeah, interesting that they did that though. It's a fun book. We'll talk about it next week.
It's good.
Well, I imagine we have a ton of comics to do.
We do and we don't. Because we do have quite a bit, but comics have slowed down a little bit. Right now, what's going on? I have to see when it ends. Is it's the 10th anniversary of Rogue One, which boy doesn't that make me feel old. And they are releasing one shots of like all the characters. So like one shot Jyn Erso, one shot.
Cool.
Andor, one shot Saw Gerrera that just came out. I just read it today. It is rough. It is so good. It is such a good Saw Gerrera. I'm like, yep, you have encapsulated that character in 20 pages.
Nice. I gotta read that.
Yeah, so we'll cover those. I think there's a couple more coming out, but that'll be fun to kind of cover
as a group
in a group. But yeah, other than that,
I did read the Jyn Erso one. You get a lot more of the Wobani sort of prison facility.
Yes,
that's cool.
they're doing a great job of kind of that backfill. But yeah, we got some stuff. We got stuff. So
yeah, there's a bunch of content to talk about, and then like I think actually some rewatches might be thing or rereads too, like that.
Yeah.
Rereading Darth Bane would be kind of a fun level. Like,
Yeah,
kind of like I think like last summer we
I
did
love that book.
Heir to the
that first
Empire.
one.
Like
that would be fun.
Like,
Every summer we should do that. We should just do a summer reading list, like
beach read summer.
Yeah.
Because that
The Bane-assance. I'm here.
There
for
you go.
it.
Love it.
Yeah. Sick. Well, yeah, we've come up with it here. But yeah, I hope you've been enjoying the Last Call podcasts. Those might be for us, as if this podcast wasn't entirely for us already. But yeah, I hope you've been enjoying them, and they're gonna keep coming at you. But for right now, thanks very much for listening to us this week, and yeah, we'll be talking Full Red Moon Outlaws novel next week, and many other things, I'm sure. So take care. We'll see you next week on Cantina Chronicles.
Thanks very much for listening to Cantina Chronicles. Please like and follow on your platform of choice, and feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or cantinachronicles@gmail.com.